This is the most tragic case of catfishing I've ever heard. It resulted in a 20-year-old woman taking her own life. This is the case of Renae Marsden. Born October 1992 in Sydney, Australia, Renae's parents divorced not long after she was born. Her mother, Teresa, remarried a man called Mark Marsden. Mark became Renae's stepfather and she got on really well with him and ended up taking his last name. Their family grew and Teresa and Mark had 2 more children. Renae and her mother Teresa got on incredibly well and Renae would tell her mother everything. They were best friends. When Renae was 18 years old, she started working in a hairdresser's where she met her first love, Angus Young. Renae and Angus had a very serious relationship. They spoke about marriage, having children and getting a dog. But one day, out of the blue, Angus messaged Renae breaking up with her, saying that he was just using her, he didn't want to commit to anything, and he wanted to date other women. This absolutely crushed Renae. The guy that she was deeply in love with, wanted to marry and have children with, had just dumped her via text message. Not only that, he openly admitted to just using her. Renae was no longer the confident, outgoing, funny teen that everybody knew. She became quiet, reserved, and unsure of herself. Renae reconnected with a good friend from school, Camila Zayden. They had been friends for 2 or 3 years now. They drifted apart slightly after they graduated as they kind of went their separate ways, but they were still in contact occasionally. When Camila heard about the breakup, she rushed to her best friend's side. Camila's advice was for Renae to just get back out there. They were still young, and in her mind, the best way to get over Angus was to date someone else. Renae wasn't sure. She wasn't feeling herself. She didn't have the confidence she used to have, and she just kind of wanted to be by herself for a while. But Camila was adamant, to the point where she even picked out a particular guy for Renae to date. Her ex-boyfriend, Braden Spiteri. This was odd. Why would you pick your ex-boyfriend for your best friend to date? But Renae just kind of went with it and began chatting with him online. They immediately got on. They liked the same things. They had the same goals in life. And soon Renae was falling head over heels in love with Braden. He brought happiness into her life. She began to become the more confident, bubbly girl she was before. However, she had her suspicions. She had never seen Braden face to face, and he always kind of avoided any meetups, to the point where Camila admitted that he was actually in prison for a driving offence. Camila was adamant though that Braden was a great guy. It was a motorcycle accident which tragically ended the life of his best friend. She also said that he had forfeited any visiting rights in order to get a shorter sentence. Camila ended up persuading her emotionally unstable best friend to date this convict. Renae and Braden carry on talking, and Renae is counting down the days for Braden's release. She does get a little bit suspicious again though when she says to Camila, well, if he's in prison, how is he contacting me so much via mobile phones? Camila says that she convinced his attorney to smuggle a phone in for Braden into the prison so that he could contact her directly from his cell. This is reckless, risky, and the attorney would have lost his license. But Renae again kind of buys it. She's young, she was heartbroken, and she at this point is kind of emotionally dependent on Braden for the majority of her happiness. She wants to believe Camila, which means she does. Renae openly tells her mother Teresa about Braden and says that he is in prison. Teresa is just happy for her daughter. Like, Renae is finally back to kind of her old self. She seems bright, she seems happy, and whenever Braden is mentioned, her face lights up. Braden even messages Teresa directly, assuring her that he is a good guy who will treat her daughter well. Over the next few months, their relationship gets more and more serious, to the point where in 2012, Renae and Camila go to a tattoo parlour and Renae gets Braden tattooed onto her chest. As Braden and Renae's relationship gets more and more intense, Renae and Camila's friendship starts to deteriorate. Renae finds Camila very intense, quite controlling, and tries to kind of distance herself from her. At the same time, Braden actually begins to get more possessive. He gets quite easily jealous if Renae spends any time with a male friend. Teresa also noticed this change in Braden's attitude to the point where Renae considered breaking up with him because she felt so smothered and controlled by him. Just as she was about to break off the relationship, Braden announces that he is going to be released on parole in August of 2012, which is just a few months away. Renae is ecstatic. She finally gets to meet her boyfriend in real life. So the relationship continues. However, in August of 2012, Braden isn't released on parole. This absolutely crushes Renae to the point where she tries to take her own life by overdosing. This rings alarm bells in her family members. They believe this relationship to be toxic. The fact that she's never met this man but has tried to take her own life over him not getting parole. Renae needs immediate intervention, and she needs time away from Braden to heal by herself, to get emotionally strong again after her breakup with Angus and then this intense, possessive, controlling relationship with Braden. So Teresa reaches out to Braden and says, look, can you just cool things off? Allow Renae to date other people. And he agrees. They still communicate every now and then, but Renae actually begins to date someone else, a lovely man named Ian. Ian is kind and caring, and they actually end up getting engaged in 2013. He, however, doesn't like the messages that go back and forth between Renae and Braden and asks her to just cut it off. He doesn't like this guy, he doesn't like the messages, and he says that if we're going to get married, I don't want this extra person in our relationship. He basically gives her an ultimatum, and Renae, tragically and unfortunately, picks Braden. Her engagement with Ian ends. In hindsight, this is an incredibly manipulative and poisonous thing for Braden to allow to happen. He should have just said to Renae, no, go off with Ian, I'm done, I'm cutting you off. But no, he knows that that decision has been made. He allows her to break off this relationship with Ian, doesn't encourage her to pursue a real man. And so that's it, they're back together, Renae and Braden, but only for a little while. Months later, Braden just stops messaging Renae completely. There's absolutely no messages from Braden for over a month, and Renae is absolutely distraught. In August of 2013, after countless messages from Renae, Braden finally messages back stating, I need a break, and so do you. Renae read this text message in front of a co-worker who later stated that she completely broke down, was crying hysterically and left work early. She tried calling the prison that Camila said that Braden was at but couldn't get through to him, so she went home. Teresa got a text message from Braden saying, sort your daughter out, she's threatening to take her own life. Teresa rushes into her daughter's bedroom but finds her getting ready for a girls' night out. She doesn't seem distraught, she doesn't seem distressed, she doesn't seem like she's going to take her own life. So Renae gets ready, gets all glammed up, and just after 5 p.m. heads off for a girls' night on the town. She doesn't go there, however. She gets in her car and drives to a place called the Gap, which is a sheer cliff off the coast of Australia. It's also tragically infamous for a place where people go to take their own lives. There is countless CCTV there and a fence to try and prevent this. When Renae gets there, she sends some messages to Braden and also a goodbye text message to her mother, Teresa. She then climbs over the fence and jumps off the cliff edge, taking her life. At this point, Teresa is frantically searching for Renae with her best friend, Camila. They call the police, and just after 9 p.m, the police arrive at the Gap. They find Renae's car with I love Braden written on the windscreen. In the back seat, they find a collage of photos, all of Braden. Looking through the CCTV, they can see the moment that Renae tragically takes her own life. They tried to recover her body, but it was unfortunately never found. Teresa immediately tells police about this guy Braden and what prison he's meant to be at. The police arrive there and ask to speak to him, but the staff say there isn't a Braden Spiteri and there never has been a Braden Spiteri. So who is he and where is he? Braden was in fact Camilla, who had been catfishing her best friend for 18 months. Why would Camilla do this to her best friend? Why would she cause so much emotional distress to the point where Renae took her own life? So it's thought that Camilla was just obsessed with Renae. Early on in their friendship, there's a suggestion that Camilla tried to make a pass at Renae. It's believed that she caused the breakup between Renae and Angus, got very jealous of any relationship that Renae had with a man. There is evidence to suggest that she was also physically violent towards Renae in the past. Through Braden, she could control Renae and pretend to have a relationship with her. The pictures she used pretending to be Braden were actually just this random guy that she met on a night out called Cameron Lang. She used all the information she knew about Renae, being her best friend, to kind of concoct this perfect boyfriend for her that she knew Renae would fall in love with. When questioned, Camilla argued that Braden was created by both her and Renae in order to keep their secret lesbian relationship quiet. It was sort of a cover story, as it was believed that Renae's family would never accept that she was homosexual. So they together created this fictional character so that they could still have a relationship. However, all the evidence and the messages that went back and forth do not marry up to this story. At one point, Braden tries to convince Renae to have sex with Camilla, and Renae responds saying, "No, I don't want to, she's not a man." Those string of messages indicate that Renae truly believed that Braden was a man, not a fictional made-up character that her and Camilla had created. It was proven that Camilla had catfished her best friend for 18 months. However, because there's no law against catfishing and because Camilla didn't push her off the cliff, she walked free. And she will never be punished for the mental turmoil that she put her best friend through, costing Renae her life. During the inquest into Renae's death, Camilla showed no remorse, no warmth, no guilt. She appeared to be completely unaffected by the part she played in her own best friend's death. In fact, Camilla is now married with children herself. She has got to go on, live her life, marry a man, interestingly, and have a family. Teresa is trying to ensure that her daughter's death was not in vain, and they are pushing for something called Renae's Law, which makes catfishing illegal. That was the sad and very tragic case of Renae Marsden. If you like my content, please remember to like, subscribe and comment. If you have any case suggestions, please let me know, and I'll see you next time.